Krishna, everyone. A warm welcome back again to our ongoing series on the glories of our most beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. But most important, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, the revealer of the Dham. So we are continuing with our series on the summer season in Vrindavan. This lecture is number 6, actually. Now, in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhupada's book, in chapter 18, Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful description of summer in Vrindavan. He writes, quote, "The inhabitants of Vrindavan were never disturbed by the scorching heat of the sun or high summer temperatures. The lakes of Vrindavan are surrounded by green grasses and various kinds of lotus flowers bloom there, such as the Kalhara Kasjot Pala. And the air blowing in Vrindavan carries the aromatic pollen of those lotus flowers. When the particles of water from the waves of the Jamuna, along with the lakes and the waterfalls, touched the bodies of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they automatically felt a cooling effect. Therefore, they were practically undisturbed by the summer season." Unquote. Jai Shri Prabhupada. But as we described in a previous lecture, Mother Purnamasi and Vrinda Devi, they make arrangements for the inconvenience of summer heat as a means to facilitate Radha and Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. In this way, summer gives the Brajabasis extra services to keep Krishna cool. For example, the Acharyas say that Mother Yasoda and her gopi assistants would make butter every day by churning yogurt. Then she would feed Krishna the leftover buttermilk, sweetened or salty depending on the time of the year. This drink cools the body in summer. So Mother Yasoda would provide Krishna with plenty of buttermilk, salted and lightly spiced during the summer months to keep him cool. Also, the hot days of summer facilitated the Brajabasis' loving exchanges with Krishna in another very interesting way. I was reading. For when Krishna would come back from herding the cows in the forest each day in the summer, it was a great relief and a source of unlimited joy for the Brajabasis, who were not only tired and exhausted from the summer heat, but they were burning in pangs of separation from Krishna. Now, Kavikarna Purna, he writes in his Ananda Vrindavan Champu, and I'll quote again here, "The Brajabasis took immense pleasure in seeing their beloved Krishna and Balaram after a long summer day. Krishna's beautiful dark blue curly locks peeking out from the edge of his limestone white turban enchanted the eyes of everyone. The dust rising from the hooves of the cows created an auspicious atmosphere. Gentle breezes added a comfortable sensation. The breeze, purified by the touch of Krishna's transcendental body, soothed and satisfied all the Brajabasis as they watched the Lord returning with his boys and his cows." Hare Krishna. So summer, with its hot weather, has its role to play in Vrindavan Leela, facilitating more rasa. Now, our acharyas write that there are two places, I was reading, two places in particular where Radha and Krishna go to get cool in the hot summer. Two places they go to get cool in summer. Now one is the kunjas of Braj, and the other is the caves of Govardhan Hill. Now a kunja is defined as a large garden which is denser than a forest, but whose trees are no larger than the size of a human being. It's very dense, but the trees are, about the size of a human being. And within these kunjas are smaller groves called nikunjas. You have the big kunja, and then you have the nikunjas. And these nikunjas, these smaller groves, are actually where Radha and Krishna rest and enjoy their playful pastimes. And because these nikunjas are so small, there's a very limited space in them to sit or to stand. So only Lalita Saki can go inside when Radha and Krishna require some seva. It's fascinating information. Now, in these smaller nikunjas, there's only small lanterns filled with fireflies to give light. Now, amongst these nikunjas, there's even a smaller version called a Nibrita Kunja, where even Lalita doesn't go in. Just Radha and Krishna, they rest there. So no one can disturb them. And in these Nibrita Nikunjas, the only light comes from what are called the mirror rings of Radha and Krishna. They have rings with like mirrors, the mirror rings of Radha and Krishna, which reflect in their ornaments, their shringara, causing enough light so they can just see each other. And lastly, there's the smallest kunja, which is called Nivid Nibrita Nikunja. Nivid Nibrita Nikunja, in which the only light is the reflection of Radha and Krishna's eyes. Wow, so sweet. Now, Kavi Karnapurna writes of these various kunjas in his illustrious Ananda Vrindavan Champu, saying that the Vanadevis keep a variety of pleasurable substances like pan and chandan and pots of cool sandal-scented water inside these kunjas. And he says there's also containers of refreshing drinks like madhu and mango nectar waiting to satisfy the divine couple and to relieve their fatigue. So with this really interesting, detailed information, we get a better understanding of the song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which we all know very well. We sing it every day before any class. Jai Radha Madhava. This is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which Srila Prabhupada introduced into our society very early in the movement. It's from his Gita Vali. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Bhalaba Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatara Vanachari. Every devotee knows that by heart. Translation is, Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many loving pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan, the kunjas. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Braja, the holder of the great hill called Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Braj, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Jamuna. Now, the other place that I mentioned, where Radha and Krishna go in the hot summer, are the caves of Govardhan Hill. And again, in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, we hear that, quote, during the summer, the pathways become hard and dry from the blistering heat of the sun. A person's fingernails become brittle and crack. But inside the caves of Govardhan, where Krishna enjoys with his beloveds, there is always a soothing and cooling atmosphere due to its natural springs and small ponds of water. Giriraj Govardhan Ki. Now, again, spending time in the Vrindavan Research Center, we have that golden opportunity. There's many shastras, and I found one book by the poet Kishore Das, who we quoted several classes ago, and in his writings he reveals a very beautiful summer pastime in that work, in one of his works. Now, Kishore Das was a medieval poet, and he was initiated into the Gaudiya Vaishnava line of Gadadhar Pandit's parampara. Now he writes that one day Radha and Krishna were sitting in the shadow of a banyan tree on a very hot summer day when Sri Radha said, "My beloved Krishna, I'm very thirsty, and as a result my throat, my lips, and my whole body are very dry." So Krishna replied, "My dear Radhe, don't worry, I will run and get some cool water from the waterfalls at Govardhan Hill." But Sri Radha said, "Krishna, no. This thirst will not go away with cool water. This thirst will only go away by the sweet melodies of your flute. Whenever your flute comes to the ears of Braja's gopis, it provides a refreshing rain of mercy, which helps to quench our thirst to always be with you. There is an endless drought in our desert-like hearts that even the rain from our eyes," what's the rain from our eyes? Our tears. "That even the rain from our eyes, our tears, cannot relieve, because most of the time we're separated from you. It is only the monsoon melodies of your flute which can bring life again to the dry desert of our hearts." So then Krishna smiled and he said, "Oh, this can only be because I play your all-merciful names with my flute. Devotees chant your names on beads. Brahmanas chant your names on their fingers. Paramahansas chant your names with their breath. Mahabhagavatas chant your name in their heartbeats. And me, your lifetime servant Devi, I chant your names on my flute. Therefore, with your permission, I will now play my flute, which will bring us even closer than we are now." So Sri Radha smiled with her approval. So Krishna began playing his flute. Now, I read that the particular melody that he chose was the beautiful Chandra Gata Rag. Remember we were discussing ragas the other day, how different melodies are played at different times of the day to bring forth certain loving sentiments. So in this particular occasion, Krishna, he chose the Chandra Gata Rag, which I found out is compared to moonlight, which cools the body, mind, and heart. If you play that raga, it's like moonlight that cools the body, the mind, and the heart. Now, Sri Radha quickly recognized the melody, but because it contained the name of her topmost rival, Chandravali, she became very upset. And she said, "Krishna, you're not chanting my name, you're chanting Chandravali's name." And she stormed out of the kunja without saying another word. Man, Radharani's man. But as Krishna ran behind her, at one point she disappeared. He's running right behind her, he can see her, but she just disappeared. So Krishna, he stopped, he was stunned. He's thinking, how can this be? Where has she gone? I was right behind her. However, the acharyas say that in this particular case, Vrindadevi had deployed a disguise called Chandma Antar Dhyana. Chandma Antar Dhyana, which means a disguise in which, although a person is present, they cannot be seen by others. Something akin to being invisible, but a particular power that Vrindadevi has. So Radharani was there, but Krishna couldn't see her because of Chandma Antar Dhyana. So Krishna gave up trying to follow Sri Radha, and after some time, Sri Radha arrived back at her home, Varshana, just to say the word Varshana. And there she revealed to her girlfriends how much Krishna had upset her. Consoling her, all her friends agreed that, they always do, that Krishna's actions had been very inappropriate and she had done the right thing by leaving him. However, later in the day, her girlfriends saw that Sri Radha was becoming restless. and was often going to the window in her room and gazing out as if looking for someone, when suddenly her pet parrot, who lives in a golden cage, became restless. Now the acharyas say that Sri Radha's parrot has a special characteristic that he always acts, speaks, and behaves according to Sri Radha's heart feelings. I thought that was very sweet. Her parrot, she has a personal parrot, and the special characteristic of this parrot is that he always acts, speaks, and behaves according to Sri Radha's heart feelings. So, seeing his restlessness, because she's restless, seeing his restlessness, Sri Radha came forward. And while feeding that parrot little pieces of fruit and some nuts, she said, "My dear parrot, please say, Radhe, Radhe." So the parrot repeated, Radhe, Radhe. And at that point, Vishaka, who was standing nearby, she said to Sri Radha, "Radhe, every day you tell your parrot to say, Shaim, Shaim. Shaim, Shaim. Why are you asking him to say your own name today?" So Sri Radha replied, "Vishaka, because I want to do what makes Krishna happy. If my name comes to his ears and he feels pleasure, then it means my life and the voice of this parrot are both successful. It means my life and the voice of this parrot are both successful. Vishaka, devotional life means to do activities which give pleasure to your master, even if they do not give you pleasure." So when Vishaka heard this, she frowned and she said, but dear Radha, you're glorifying Krishna while he's having fun with Chandravali at this very moment. You should be angry with him. So Sri Radha, she just, thought for a minute, then she said, "Yes, that is true. But if I put aside my man, my anger, then I can go to see the Lord of my life, and that will mean everything to me. Let me burn my pride in love and reach the cooling lotus feet of Krishna. Let me burn my pride in love and reach the cooling lotus feet of Krishna." So at that point, Vishaka, she paused for a moment, and she kind of looked out the window. And what did she see? She was stunned to see Krishna walking towards the palace. And with her voice shaking, she said, "Sri Radha, your Krishna is coming. You were willing to give up your pride to see him, and he, though the king of Vrindavan, has agreed to approach you as a humble servant. Just see how love is reciprocal. Oh, glories to you, Sri Radha." Now, as Krishna approached the palace, Sri Radha came outside to greet him, and when they met, they embraced, and all the Sakhis, they bathed them with a shower of flowers. Hare Krishna. Oh, really wonderful pastime. So, a little short today, but we'll conclude with a few verses from Sri Rupa Goswami's Utkalika Valari. It's one of my favorite books, actually. I've carried it for the last 20 years with me. Utkalika Valari. Verses 11 through 16. Just listen to, Rupa Goswami's Rupa Manjari, so he knows these sentiments. He writes, "O king, whose flute is very eager to sing the glories of Sri Radha, the deity of pure love. O queen, whose tongue tastes the sweetness of chanting the glories of Lord Mukunda, the joy of the world. O king, the sweetness of whose lotus eyes traps the swan of the heart of she who is the crown of Braja's girls. O queen, the net of whose sidelong glance expertly catches the regal fish of the prince of Braja's heart. O king, whose flute music is a cup for drinking the ocean of the eternal patience of the daughter of the Gopa king's friend. O queen, whose very graceful songs enchant the deer of the heart of he who enchants the entire world. O king, who, when you hear the name Radhika, forgets all playful arts. O queen, who when you hear the two syllables Krishna, becomes stunned and motionless. O son of the king of the Gopas, O daughter of the best man in Gokula, bowing down and placing folded hands above his head, this unfortunate person begs you both for a certain gift. O king and queen, the lakes of whose hearts are filled by the swiftly flowing nectar mountain streams of your great mercy, please be kind to this wicked person. Please show him the luster of the transcendental happiness that is the guarantee of being able to see you one day in the future. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki, Utgala Velika ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Some real nectar there, Prabhus, and I believe we have perhaps one more summer pastime to share with you, and we'll be back in a couple of days. Thank you. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani ki, Shri Mayapur Dhama ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Sisi Radhe Shyam. All glories to Shri